you guys are doing well. I am posting a story on TikTok that I am live. How is everybody doing this evening? We doing good? Gucci? I hope so. Last night was a long ass stream. It was very long. I had a lot of thoughts and I had to get them out. And I did get them out. But it still doesn't negate the fact that I spent a long time getting those thoughts out. And it's okay. It's fine. We covered a lot of things yesterday, and the recording is still up on my YouTube. We talked about the books I'm reading. I finished Children of Blood and Bone and It's Lonely at the Center of the World, or The Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood, and Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I talked about how I'm starting Dune, but Dune is incredibly dense, so I don't know. Like, I might have to take a rain check on that. I really just want to get into my Sonic comic that I stopped reading. I just want to get back into that again, so I'll probably pick that up, read that, and maybe read more comics. Cole mentioned yesterday the idea of me starting a book club, and I said, I don't know about starting like a reading book club, but a comic book club? That could work. Mostly because comics are very easy to read. There's less text, so I might look into a comic book club maybe in the distant future. But yeah, so there is that. We also covered what happened on Olay and Friends with Laverne Cox, and kind of the discourse that happened, mild discourse that happened on that podcast, because it came out that Laverne Cox was dating and in a relationship with a MAGA cop, a Trump supporting cop. So and then I talked about like an animation spotlight, some of the shows I started watching, and I started watching MTV's Downtown. It was really, really good. I talked about the dynamic between some of the characters, like Jen and her kind of coming into her own as like a young adult, and understanding her sexuality, and then the dynamic between Alex and Serena, and the fetishization of alternative women versus the villainizing of socially acceptable hyper feminine women. So I don't know. I hope I cooked on that point. I might really have to make like a whole deck or a whole live getting my thoughts out about that, because I find it really interesting. I talked about some of the music I was listening to: Addison Rae, Pink Panthers. I listened to both of their albums. Listening to most of Nirvana, love it. I am almost done with Nirvana's discography. There's only like 4 albums, and then they have the deluxe albums. So I think after I listen to all 4 albums, I'll go back in and listen to the deluxe, which I guess are their live performances. And then Jaws of Life by Pierce the Veil. I talked about him. the second trailer dropping, along with the movie posters that look dope. And then I also talked about how I still haven't finished Nope. I don't know. Halloween's coming around the corner, and I'm feeling very festive. I want to make Halloween cookies and watch a lot of horror movies and like palate cleansers. So I gotta look into that. I also want to get into watching more horror movies and reading horror books, but I gotta figure out what type of horror movies I want to watch. I was watching some movies with my boyfriend, my partner, and was saying how like we were about to watch The Terrifier or The Terrorizer. Something with the clown. I'm gonna look up clown horror movie real quick. It's not The Terrifier. Yeah. And I just kind of told my partner, or like he kind of told me, he's like House of a Thousand Corpses or like The Terrifier are all movies that are just like gore fetish, like gore porn, I guess is a better way to say it. Replace the C with the P. And I'm not into that stuff. I'm not into like torture, horror, stuff like that. Like that stuff just makes me very like, yeah, I don't really want to see it. I'm into like more like creepy thriller horror. For some reason, I really dig Midsummer. Like I love Midsummer. I love anything Ari Aster comes up with. I need to watch Beau is Afraid, but I gotta be in the right headspace. And I don't know, I kind of want to watch like the cult classic horror movies. Like, I don't know. You know how in anime they have the big three, and it's like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Naruto. In horror, they have like the big, like maybe 5 or 6. And I don't know, I feel like there's like, I guess, like phases of it. So like the original, I feel like the original horror monsters are like Frankenstein, Swamp Thing, Nosferatu, Dracula, like those monsters, right? Werewolf, right? But the newer phases of like well-known horror monsters are Chucky, Jason, Freddy Krueger, you know, and I kind of want to watch those movies. And I want to watch Nosferatu again. Everyone was saying Nosferatu was scary, and it wasn't as scary as it was just very, very, very beautiful. Like, hauntingly beautiful. I kind of want to draw some scenes out of Nosferatu because of how beautiful it was. Like, I wasn't scared at all. I know the actor who plays the It Clown played Nosferatu. He did a great job. Lily Rose Depp did a great job. So I don't know. Like like that was a good movie to me. I enjoyed it. I wasn't terrified at all. I was just like, wow, this is beautiful. And so Frankenstein's coming out, and that's being directed by. Ooh, I'm not gonna get Guillermo. I'm gonna say his last name, Del Toro. Okay, I'm sorry, my pronunciation is not there today. So he's a really good director. He does really good monsters designs. I watched The Shape of Water. I watched Pan's Labyrinth. Both very, very good movies. And I believe he directed Guillermo. Thank you. Guillermo del Toro. That's his name. Thank you. How are you today? Sorry, hard G. Guillermo del Toro. Okay. Thank you. I believe he directed that Mecha movie, right? With the kaiju? No, not with the kaiju. Rim. Yeah, he directed Pacific Rim, and he did a great job with Pacific. I enjoyed myself with some Pacific Rim now. Okay, so I only watched the first movie, but I like that guy. He does really good films. He directs them very well. I thought The Shape of Water was like hauntingly beautiful as well, and we have uh Mia Goth in the new Frankenstein movie, and I love me some Mia Goth. I do. I watched all of the Pearl trilogy. It was so good. It was so good. Oh my god. The third one not that good. And then we also have Jacob Elordi, who I believe is playing Frankenstein. And I don't know. I feel like every girl has like their monster boy crush, right? Like which monster they're crushing on, right? And so like some common ones I'll see people thirst after if we're talking about comics, Marvel, Venom. A lot of the girls like Venom, and that makes sense. I get it. But for me, like just classic horror, I'm really into Frankenstein, man. I don't know. Something about his design in the new Universal Studios horror ride, and he's like 9 feet tall. I mean, I could fix him. You know what I mean? Like, I could fix him. I know that he's like built from like dismembered parts, but like, I can fix him. And Jacob Elordi's cute, so I feel like he's supposed to be the Frankenstein, right? Like, I think he's Frankenstein. Because that doesn't look like the Dr. Frankenstein don't look like Jacob Elordi, so yeah, Jacob Elordi's probably playing Frankenstein and nobody wants to say anything. And right now, like, I saw the trailer and he just has like a mask on. But I don't know. Some of the images of the trailer look so fantastical. Like it just looks so whimsy. Like it's a horror movie, but it's whimsical. And I guess that's what I really like about Guillermo del Toro movies is that a lot of his horror movies are just really whimsy. Like there's just like a lot of whimsy in them, and it's like creepy, yes, but it's like fun. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for that movie. Andrew Garfield is in this movie too. Can we talk about Andrew Garfield real quick? He's a really good actor. I don't think he's in this movie. That would have been a big deal. No, he's not. He's not. He's not. But yeah. So, oh, I also watched that movie with Sophie Thatcher, the clone movie or the robot movie. So I watched Companion and Heretic. Both were okay. Like they weren't great, and I don't know. I wasn't really like focusing on those movies. I just kind of watched them in the background. Companion was fun. I love me like a feminine female rage horror type of movie. And then Heretic was good. One that everyone is saying like rewired their brain chemistry was it's Syncamarink, which I think is a play on words of let me share my screen. Yes, Skinamarink, which is a play on words of Skimmarink, dinky dink, Skimmarink, dinky doo. I love okay, so I don't know. I hear that one is really trippy, and I don't know if I want to watch that one. So yeah, I've actually watched a lot of horror movies in my day, and I always like psych myself out. Like I don't want to watch them. Like I'm scared to watch them. One movie I'm really scared to watch, and I don't know why, but it's I Saw the TV Glow. And some movies I will read if I'm like super scared and psyched out. I'll like read the summary on Wikipedia to see what happens, so I don't go in surprise. And then I'll watch the movie. And I read the summary of I saw the TV Glow, and it's basically an allegory for transgenderism and transitioning and all of that. And I don't know why, but it just like the whole concept just creeps me out. I think because it's based off of 90s like teenage like horror-esque shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like some of the visual effects of like the monsters are like practical, which I think if you're gonna do horror, the best thing you can do is incorporate practical visual effects because it makes it a lot more realistic than like 3D visual effects, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, there's just some scenes I see where there's like purple goo, you know, and I'm scared to watch it. Like I remember reading the summary and having some visible nightmares of like vivid nightmares of like the movie, and I hadn't even seen it. And so because I think it's a beautiful concept, but it's just like I don't know, it just has that like 90s horror aspect of it where all the effects are like super practical. And I don't know, Goosebumps, I'm thinking about Goosebumps and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and like there are some scenes in Buffy the Vampire Slayer that are like super scary. Like some jump scares where I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? For me at least. So yeah, I don't know. I might watch that movie. But yeah, I really want to get into a festive mood, and I really want to bake some cookies. Maybe give some cookies to my friends. I want to try like this new cookie recipe using butter emulsion, and I want to like make my living room all cozy, and I want to just watch some horror movies, or maybe just watch them on my PC. But I kind of want to start with the cult classics. Like the next generation of horror icons, which are like Freddy, Jason, Chucky, those guys, the It Clown. Dang, I lost my train of thought. There was another movie I saw that I really enjoyed. Oh, Mr. Crockett. Okay, so this movie is it. This movie, it was on Hulu, and this movie was it. You could get a custom Funko? See, here's the thing. Because this was like a made-for-TV, like made-for-streaming movie on like Hulu, I don't think it got as much love and care and TLC as it needed to. Basically, Mr. Crockett is like this demonic entity encapsulated in this VHS tape of a kid's cartoon show similar to Pee-wee Herman and or Mr. Rogers. And it's like campy creepy, right? But I feel like if they got a do-over, they could make it really weird. It's really tapping into that "don't hug me, I'm scared" pocket, right? And then they, again, another example of like the practical effects. Like I think they incorporated more practical effects to pay homage to like the 90s, and when they were using practical effects and stuff. But like this could have like I want Mr. Crockett, like dead ass, I want him to be with some of the greats. You know, I want him to be sitting next to Freddy Krueger and Jason and Chucky. Like I want him there. And it's like the concept is so good, but it was on Hulu, and you know, it's a made for streaming movie, so it's not gonna hit the way it needs to, I guess. And it doesn't really have the budget and the push that I feel like it deserved. But the concept was so good. And it's like kids would watch this show. Okay, so Mr. Crockett, like kids would get the VHS tape like randomly, right? They put it in their television what did we call VHS player? Okay, we call it VHS player. They put it in their VHS player, and then they'd watch this Mr. Crockett show, and like normally it would be given to kids who were dealing with abusive parents or parents who neglected them. And so then, you know, while the kids are abusing them, Mr. Crockett like comes like or talks to the kid in the video and is like, "Hey, your dad isn't treating you too well, huh?" And the kid's like, "No." He's like, "Do you want me to take you away from that?" And the kid's like, "Yeah." And so then Mr. Crockett comes into the human world and like unalives the parents and then snatches the kids and puts them in the demon realm, which is you know, the Mr. Crockett television show, right? And the reason why it's a television show, I guess, is because he made a deal with Satan or something like that. But either way, like it was so good. It was like the concept was so good, but like there was things that needed to be expanded on to make it better. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe Mr. Crockett can get a do-over. Maybe they can fish Mr. Crockett around to different streaming services. Maybe we'll get a Mr. Crockett 2. I personally feel like it was a little too on the nose with what was going on, right? With Mr. Crockett being this demon who was a human in the real world, but then made a deal with Satan in hell, I guess. And so I think what should have happened really is that Mr. Crockett should have been a movie where like the viewer doesn't really know what's going on until the very end, and maybe there was a detective trying to figure out where all these missing kids are, and then like the context clues are there throughout the entire movie, and like they keep watching the VHS tape over and over again, and creepier things happen, and maybe they have weird dreams or whatever, and then towards the end of the movie they're like, oh, these kids are missing, and they're getting kidnapped and imported into like this demonic TV show realm. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have been like a lot more creepier and would have cemented more. But yeah, I love me some Mr. Crockett. It was pretty good. Like, look at this little monster boy back here. Like, just look at these practical effects, man. Again, very like don't hug me, I'm scared coded, but like super campy, which I think might have been the point, but I didn't want it to be as campy as it was trying to be. Like I really wanted it to be like more intense, if you will. So yeah, maybe we'll get another chance with Mr. Crockett. Like I said, I want him up there with the greats. I believe in Mr. Crockett. I do. I believe he can be do big things, right? I also watched Us, which is Lena Waithe's horror series. No, them. I watched the first season, and I'm not gonna lie, it was trauma corn, and that's why I didn't really like continue. Like it was just there's just too much. It was about the family, the black family that moved into Compton and how Compton originated and like all of the I guess curses of Compton. It wasn't really like scary, just like traumatizing. There was like maybe one episode that was like, I don't really know if I want to deal with this. But I heard Them was really terrifying. I don't know. I'm probably not gonna watch Them. But yeah. And then I don't know. Nope still got me effed up, guys. You know why Nope got me effed up? Because I didn't watch a summary first. And normally for Jordan Peele movies, I just go in blind and I'm like, what happens, happens. Because I trust that regardless of how scary the movie is, I'll have a good time and enjoy it. I've watched Get Out and I watched Us, and both were scary movies, and I had time in my life and I enjoyed myself. I actually watched Us the same day I watched Midsummer the first time. But then Nope, Like, I was not expecting Jean Jacket to swallow up all those people. And when I figured out that Jean Jacket was swallowing folks, I was like, girl, no. Like, that's like my number one fear. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so then I had to chill with horror for a minute. I had to take a break. So, I don't know. But, yeah, I really want to get into the Halloween mood. Okay. So, I gotta finish my chicken. Okay. So, yesterday, I wanted to talk about the woman who fell in love with her psychiatrist, but there were like 50 parts. And so I could not cover, I wasn't going to cover 50 parts with the big, huge, hefty deck that I had. So I was just like, girl, we're going to take a rain check and we're going to cover that today. Now, I did say that this stream is short and sweet, and it is. Like, I'm not trying to stay here too long. I kind of overheated yesterday when I stayed here for 4 hours and 30 minutes. So I'm probably gonna be here for maybe like an hour and a half at most, maybe like 2 hours if I'm hyped. But I'm not trying to be here for another like 4 hours. It's fun, but it gets to be a lot. It gets to be intense. So I want to cover some things with the lady who is in love with her psychiatrist, but I also want to talk about like a more serious issue. Um, there was a couple TikTokers, especially like medical professionals, healthcare professionals who specialize in therapy and psychiatry, saying that this woman is going through a psychotic break and nobody is helping her, and the audience that she has curated and people who are commentating about the situation are also not helping her at all. They're just kind of watching her go through this psychotic break. Now she's asking Chat GPT questions, I hear, and what was once like a 50-part series, which is incredibly extensive, if I do say so myself. Like way too extensive for what was going on. I feel like she could have covered it in like 10 parts. Now, like, she just keeps going on and on and on, and I guess ChatGPT is involved. And so, I don't know if it would be right of me to kind of cover and commentate like all of what she has gone through with this, or what she is currently going through. I guess this alleged psychotic break, with her self-perceived love affair, with her psychiatrist, right? Um, so I don't know. I want to kind of start off this stream with a TikTok of a woman kind of discussing the real issue with everything that's going on with this woman, and how nobody's coming in to actually like help her, and they're just letting her more or less crash out over this idea that she believes in her head that her psychiatrist lured her in and led her on, when that was far from what was happening. So I kind of want to talk about that TikTok. Then we can go into some of the videos that she's watching. But again, I feel very uncomfortable now, like dissecting these videos, like commentating on these videos, if it is in fact that she is having a full-blown psychotic break, where and she doesn't have the support in mind for people to help her out and tell her to get out off the internet. And then there's like this whole other section of the internet that is just like waiting on bated breath to see what this woman does next, instead of just kind of like either ignoring her or getting her the help that she needs. So yeah, I'll pull up the TikTok video in a second. I'm gonna get myself some food real quick, and we'll discuss what the TikTok is talking about. Okay, I'm back. So a little side note, I just started week 3 of my diet, and one of the desserts that I have is like a whole pint of ice cream. Which is great. I love that for me because I don't know, I'm eating a lot in this diet, as I've said numerous times. A lot of eating. So anyway. All right, so let me share my screen and let's look at this TikTok real quickly. All right, and so this is by Tay with 3 Ys.jpg. Shout out to her. And she's kind of talking about how this is a Black Mirror episode, but not in the ways that we think. That it's a lot more serious in that it's not Kendra using ChatGPT to help validate her experience with her psychiatrist. It's not that element that is making it more or less a Black Mirror episode. It's basically how people are spectating this incident and how people are reacting to it, which is making it very Black Mirror. So I'm gonna let Tay take the floor.
Black Mirror episode.
Okay, so let's.
The Kendra Saga is a Black Mirror episode, but not for the reasons that people are saying it is. Like, it's not a Black Mirror episode only because it is this woman who is utilizing all the forces of the internet to try to destroy another person's life, and who is patently developing psychosis through the utilization of AI, and who now has like a live studio audience at her beck and call to do all of these things. It's a Black Mirror episode because of that, but it is also a Black Mirror episode because it calls into question the audience participation in the saga itself. What I think a lot of people misunderstand about Black Mirror as a piece of media is that, yes, of course, we are watching kind of these like Twilight Zone-esque vignettes of what a dystopian, hyper-surveilled future would look like a future in which every person has this computer chip in their head that records everything that they do and surveils everything that they do, and how that is inherently detrimental to kind of the human experience and how it can only ever go poorly, right? Like, that is a big part of Black Mirror that to a lot of people is the totality of Black Mirror. But part of Black Mirror also is the audience participation in the debauchery caused by this techno-feudalist, hyper-surveilled society. We can see this in a couple of episodes. We can see it in the very first episode in the series, the National Anthem, where a prime minister is being made to...
So I watched all of Black Mirror, just like pause real quickly. I watched all of Black Mirror, or up until this last season, honestly. So I've watched all of Black Mirror up until this last season. I think the reason why I stopped watching Black Mirror is because real life started to emulate the series a little too well, and so it got a lot less like, whoa, what if that did happen? That would be crazy, right? To, oh my god, this is actually happening. There's some semblance of this happening in real life. I don't want to watch this anymore. And then I think because of that, a lot of the series just got like stale. Like, they started repeating certain motifs in a lot of their shows. I remember the series with the mask where I guess the dude like unalived the couple, and he won an award for, I guess, basing his movie off of like unaliving so many people in the series. Okay, so what is the name of the episode? But that one episode where the guy he has a mask, I guess, and so like he unalives a bunch of people, and I think he makes a docu-series about it and wins an award. And then I guess the shocker or the ending surprise is that he that he actually killed all those people, and it wasn't like something that he directed, I guess. And he was the murderer, I guess. And like throughout the whole like the whole show, in that episode, they made it blatantly obvious that he was the person who was unaliving people. but the series, like, and the PR for the series was like shocking ending to this one Black Mirror episode. And I remember someone on TikTok had said this ending isn't shocking, like we all saw this a mile away. And so after that, I just kind of stopped watching. I also realized that Issa Rae was in last season, and I love me some Issa Rae. But the episode was, from what I heard, similar to San Junipero. And San Junipero makes me cry. Like, the first time I saw that episode, I was literally sobbing, and it was just so cute, and I don't know, because it was just so beautiful, you know what I mean? But anyway, this episode where the prime minister has relations with the pig.
To have relations with a farm animal to regain the custody of a royal family member who has been kidnapped by a performance artist, under the condition that he does so for an audience of 1 billion people. And this is done to undermine his political power and is essentially political subterfuge. We can see it in another episode called The White Bear, where a woman who had done a heinous crime was being hunted for sport, not to kill her, but as a form of entertainment for an audience that seeks to see criminals punished for the horrible things that they do. And we can see it, of course, in episodes like The Black Museum, where a death row inmate's consciousness is taken and then put into a hologram where he can still technically feel things, but can experience the agony of being executed at the whim of a museum audience who seeks to do so. And then they can have a little keychain that has the exact moment that he dies in the keychain. The narrative plot of these episodes are, of course, about the issues at hand, right? Like this politician having to do this unspeakable act, and this woman having to atone for the sins of her crimes, and this death row inmate eventually getting the justice that he deserves through death. But what we also have to consider is that a big part of what makes the narrative machine go in these episodes is the participation of those in the act of viewing these people. And I'm not trying to say that audience participation is the end-all be-all of media, right? I'm not trying to say that the audience is ultimately the most responsible party that should be held at the utmost accountability for everything that they consume that is put in front of them. But what I am saying is, you don't just get to like walk through life consuming unabound and then say that you don't have any culpability or responsibility for what you're consuming, or you don't have any responsibility to kind of look inward and be like, is this really the best way I should be spending my time, is by tuning into a woman who was clearly going through psychosis and kind of branding that as like my evening entertainment. Ultimately, I think the thing about
So I think she's right here. I do feel like as consumers of social media and the internet, we do play a role in some of the content we engage in and how far we are willing to take some things. I also have some theories. I'm gonna write them down because I want her to continue. But I have a lot of theories about like the future of content creation and like the evolution of like what I like to call tabloidism. But I'm gonna let her continue.
Black Mirror comparisons that really, really concerns me is that people do not want to acknowledge just how much we are also, in reality, existing in a surveillance state and how that primes us to see certain things as entertainment, when in reality, we should be very worried about them. We should be worried about the fact that this woman is able to leverage the internet to try to intercede into someone else's life at any whim and utilize ChatGPT to do so, and to garner an audience who, for better or for worse, is helping to further her mission in doing so. Because it wasn't Kendra who revealed the identity of her psychiatrist, it was someone in her audience that found him. And while it is Kendra that's bringing us all of this drama or whatever, and people are treating it very frivolously, like it's the flavor of the week, and I have no doubt in my mind that it will fizzle out just like every other piece of internet drama, that does not remove the culpability of the audience. You too can become responsible or accountable for the things that you view and how you participate in them. And I think that we all just need to take a step back and really think about what we want to participate in. The Kendra Saga is a Black Mirror episode.
Okay, I got some notes. So let me see here. Okay, so a couple things. Tay.jpg is absolutely correct in everything that she's saying, and I have had thoughts about this for a very long time since I have seen the evolution of social media from, it having humble beginnings with connecting with other people on sites like MySpace and Facebook to, the golden age, I would argue, of social media in like 2010, in the 2010s, where we were able to cut out the middleman of like Hollywood in a way and create literal celebrities, almost celebrities with influencers who were able to make a buttload of money promoting products and having people watch their videos and doing different campaigns, to now where we're starting to realize that the internet is not a fun place anymore. It's not safe. It never really was. We're starting to have more conversations as Gen Z is getting older. They're starting to have more conversations about how unsafe the internet once was and how lax things were with, blog sites like, or messaging sites like, I think Omegle and stuff like that. And just how easy it was to have your brain like altered, and you're like, you develop very bad habits by being online or having certain access to social media and technology at a very young age. And also now us talking about like how a lot of these social media apps are in the business of keeping us under surveillance with the new requirements of having us submit our IDs, but also keeping us on their platforms by utilizing the algorithm to feed us content that will either keep us angry or addicted in some way, shape, or form. What I'm noticing now is that we're entering this era of what I like to call tabloidism. I don't think that's a real word though. Tabloidism. No, wait, it isn't. No, hold on. No, it's called tabloid journalism, all right? What is the meaning of tabloidism? Noun tabloidism, usually unaccountable, plural tabloidisms, the practices of tabloid journalism, gaudy sensationalism, okay? And so what I mean is that in like the early 2000s, 90s, and all of that, tabloidism mostly centered around celebrities and famous people, or people who really wanted to be famous. You really had to have a bunch of middlemen there to kind of push a narrative for how some sort of celebrity wanted to be represented, right? Whether it was like David Letterman, like a news hosting channel that wanted to interview celebrities, or a late night talk show, or just like a Yap type of show similar to what oh my god, what's her name? not Barbara Walters, but like before Wendy Williams. Before Wendy Williams, there was another woman who kind of did something similar to what Wendy Williams does. If I remember, I'll let y'all know. But it was almost like poking and prying into a lot of these, celebrities' lives. And like we as regular people did not care so much about that because, in our minds, we thought that these celebrities or how they perceived themselves, these celebrities had a lot of money and they had a lot of resources. And so if we're like talking like back then, the idea was like if we're talking shit about Britney Spears because she shaved off her head because she's going through a psychotic break, I mean, so be it. She's like super wealthy, super rich, and she's a spoiled brat and she deserves it. You know what I mean? I don't agree with any of that, by the way, but that's just the energy and time we were on in the early 2000s. The early 2000s were very ruthless to women, especially when it came to their weight, when it came to their love life, when it came to some of the things that they were interested in, their looks, their appearances. The early 2000s were like really horrendous towards people and very brutal. And I think a lot of that came from the control of like, Hollywood, and how much power and influence it had. Ever since social media became a thing, I feel like ever since the push of the algorithm had became, super popularized in a lot of these social media platforms, I feel like the tabloidism or the tabloid journalism moved from like us being super invested, if you are interested in that stuff, super invested in like celebrities and what they're doing with their life, to us being invested in the lives of influencers and content creators. Why? Because the idea of the influencer and content creator, especially in the 2010s, was that they're just like me. They started from the bottom. Now look at them in their Rolls Royce or their 8-bedroom mansion out in the hills somewhere in LA. They started out homeless, or maybe they started out shooting videos in their car, and now they're in Dubai shooting super elegant videos of all the food and fun things that they do there. You know what I mean? We built very strong connections with these content creators, right? Trisha Paytas, Shane Dawson, unfortunately, Jeffree Star, all of those type of creators, H3, I think, all of those type of content creators really were able to develop strong core fan bases based off of the fact and idea that they started, from humble beginnings where we could relate to them to them becoming like super big mega celebrities. Like Trisha Paytas was featured on SNL, for crying out loud, right? I'll also put James Charles in there as well. But at that moment, like speaking of James Charles, like after those content creators were able to really cement themselves and kind of almost compete with the same sensationalism that we have with celebrities, we started to see the tabloidism kind of shift from celebrities to them. And then we also saw, depending on how one's algorithm would look, I would assume people gain interest in like little dramas based off of the subcultures they found online or the subcultures they found on social media and on the internet. And this was happening like before TikTok. Like, I remember the whole creep show art debacle, which is like pandemic like drama, right? When we were all home during the pandemic, like it seemed like there was a drama every other month or so because we were all at home and we were all invested. And I remember with like the creep show art situation where, oh god, they scrubbed her whole like when it came. Okay, so I guess this is all we got. But when it finally came out that Creepshow Art was actually stalking another content creator, and that content creator, like, you know, put her on blast for it, and then there was a back and forth, and like literally every other YouTube commentator had something to say about it. I feel like that is when things shifted, where we cared more so about the subcultures of our own dramas rather than like, and then also the big dramas of celebrities, but we were shifting our energy towards people who might not have the same resources and means of like celebrities. And that's why I've always been critical about that stuff. I think with the whole Creepshow Art, there was like a sub chapter with like Hopeless Peaches, I think is her name, and how the art commentary community, I guess, treated Hopeless Peaches because I guess of some disconnection of what happened with George Floyd. It seemed very like groupthink, and I don't know. I don't know. It seemed like whatever they were beefing with Hopeless Peaches about, it had ulterior motive. But again, someone like Hopeless Peaches was experiencing a buttload of bullying from that community because of something that she just didn't understand or agree with. And then there were a bunch of accusations of, I guess, her being like a racist or whatever. I guess because she had questions about BLM instead of just like blindly following BLM at the time, even though now we know that the BLM organization, not the movement, but the organization, was actually like funneling money to campaigns outside, to like political campaigns and political parties, and like their own luxuries outside of actual police reform, which is what we thought Black Lives Matter stood for. I digress. I say all of that to say that we moved from celebrities being the target and the butt of being the victims of tabloid journalism and tabloidism and like hot tea and hot juicy gossip to regular people being the subject of that. And then as we entered in the era of TikTok, where we noticed that at least a lot of Americans would get addicted to TikTok, I started realizing, depending on how chronically online you are on and depending on how addicted to TikTok you are on, like every so often, like every week or so, there would be a new type of like TikTok drama that would spur about based off of a bunch of random people that we don't even know, random individuals that we don't even know. You are literally out here sending DEATH threats to people that you don't know, and those people that you're sending that information to don't have the resources to defend or protect themselves. And I think that has always been very unusual and very weird to me. That we, as the viewers of the drama that is going on, and also the commentators that keep talking about this content, are also responsible for how people are being perceived on the internet, and also responsible for not interfering or taking a firm stance in, I'm not going to get involved in this. I'm not going to talk about this. It seems like she's actually going through something. Let me shut it down. You know, like, we're a part of the problem. So, in conclusion, we once were at a time where we would, you know, rank and shit on celebrities that were perceived to have the money and resources to protect themselves from like the wrath of the media and the tabloids, right? And then somehow, with the popularity of social media and with how accessible being a creator has become, it has shifted to the regular everyday person being the subject of not so much tabloid journalism. I like to call it tabloid journalism because it's we're sensationalizing tea and gossip amongst regular people that don't have the means or the resources to protect or defend themselves. Another example is the Coldplay concert, right? Like, these people who got caught at a Coldplay concert, and they they were having an affair. Granted, if you're having an affair with someone, like, wrong is wrong, right? Like, that is not okay. But what's really bad about it is that, like, the dude who's having an affair on his wife has children and has a wife that people are now hunting down and trying to figure out, like, hey, do they know what's going on? They deserve to know. They should be exposed. And, like, random individuals trying to play PI investigators, trying to figure out what's going on with these people. Meanwhile, you know, this dude, like, is, you know, obviously losing his job, and the woman that he had an affair with obviously lost her job, but you're pulling in people who did not ask for the amount of clout or the amount of exposure that you are imposing on them. And in this case, this woman who has, you know, who is, in her mind, believes that her psychiatrist had led her on and was tempting her, she has put the psychiatrist in a position of being doxxed by the internet by framing a narrative that she was the victim of her own inner mechanisms of her mind. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, we're seeing her go through a psychotic break of, like, trying to rationalize the perception she has about her psychiatrist grooming her. And nobody's interfering or saying, hey man, like, you gotta chill out. People are, like, egging it on. People are, like, talking about it. People are making content off of this woman's psychotic break, which is also harming this psychiatrist and his field of work or his overall career in general. You know what I mean? And I think that is what the problem is. And I think that's what the issue is that we have shifted from putting all of our attention and effort onto what the media wants us to focus on, which I guess is, like, celebrities and stuff, back when the media was a lot more controlled in what we could consume, right? To shifting our attention to our algorithms and whatever hot flavor, hot tea of the week on TikTok is. And in the same breath, we're doing this with not so much celebrities, with regular people, everyday people who are on this app. Also, I feel like with commentators and drama channels, there's also a responsibility that they have in that they have to be, you have to make sure you get your story straight. I'm smaller, so I feel like if I make mistakes, it's not going to matter as much as someone big like, Shannon Sharp or Tasha K. And the reason why I bring those two up is that Shannon Sharp, with his podcast episode, or with his show with Ocho Cinco, he is getting sued again by a woman for defamation because there was, like, photos and videos that came out that she was sucking on a cherry at Usher's concert, and someone had lied on her and said that she had a husband and she didn't. And this is like a random woman. This is a random woman at a random Usher concert having a good time, similar to the Coldplay affair people, even though they're, like, dead wrong. They're dead ass wrong, right? This woman isn't married, yet the narrative somehow from, like, these major tea gossip channels, which, I mean, Shannon Sharp, is a gossip channel with a weight set. Let's just be real. He's trying to be Wendy Williams with a weight set, right? And Unwind with Tasha K are out here spreading lies, not getting their facts straight, saying that this woman is married, and that's not the truth, and defaming her and subjecting her to a, ridicule and potential doxing. You know what I mean? And that's weird. That's, like, weirdo behavior that nobody's intervening and being like, hey man, that's not cool, that's not our business, let's move on. I feel like we've entered this phase and chapter in social media where we think it is perfectly okay for us to expose, dox people in the name of being, like, morally correct, you know what I mean? Or in the name of, finding some sort of poetic justice. And I don't think that's okay. I think that people harp way too much on, like, people's lives on the internet that they have no business really investing themselves into. And they get so passionate in these, like, little gossips or these little incidences that happen that they take it way too far, and they start doxing people or they start sending hateful messages or unfortunately maybe even DEATH threats to people, right? And then you also have the other side of these individuals who now, I think we all know that if you just prop up your phone and start yapping, you too can be a content creator. Content creation has never been as accessible as it is now. You have people who feel moved and compelled to put themselves out there in the name of being seen by any means necessary, even when it means maybe you should put the phone down and go talk to a professional. In this case, this woman who was talking about how she fell in love with her psychiatrist is a part of a bigger cyclical issue that I see in social media that is both, her fault. Like there is some accountability that she needs to take, but I do agree, based off of what Tay.jpg said, that we all also need to take as well as viewers. She should probably hold herself accountable in understanding that pushing this narrative can be especially harmful, and believing this narrative can be super harmful. But believing this narrative pushing this narrative in a way where this psychiatrist can potentially lose her job because of how you perceive something that wasn't there can be harmful. And so maybe it may be best to put the phone down, or have like a family member there to tell you to put the phone down, right? But also, we as viewers, and then putting this guy's career in danger, the psychiatrist's career in danger, and his livelihood in danger because of, things not really going your way, I guess, with this relationship this one-sided relationship you have with your psychiatrist. But we're also accountable as viewers because we will use this as content and as clout we'll use this as content to talk about this big incident as if it's like the flavor of the week or the gossip of the week, not realizing that this woman might be going through a psychotic break, not realizing that because of her psychotic break, there is an individual who might be at the receiving end of losing his job. You know what I mean? And I think that is unusual. And instead of us kind of putting our own phones down or like scrolling and not wanting any parts with the this whole story, we're invested. We're watching all parts of her story. I guess it's continuing. Is it continuing? I'm not sure. And then we're not really separating ourselves from the story. We're just seeing the what's the word? The train wreck happen right before our very eyes. And I think there is some harm in that. Like, I think that there needs to be some accountability in us as people, as Tay.jpg said, in understanding that, hey, we can't consume this content. We can't consume this media if we're just going to sit here and watch the shit show occur and then just go about our day. We're also a part of the issue. We shouldn't be sitting here and consuming media about somebody having an affair on their wife and then be perfectly okay with like this dude's wife getting like a bunch of emails and messages and found out on Facebook about, what her husband is doing with his, HR woman, right? I don't know. I think we need to be very cautious with how we navigate the internet nowadays, how we navigate social media. And we have to also be very cautious with how our emotions are tethered to these individuals and how these people are going throughout their lives. Like, this should not be sensationalized. At this point, someone should have stepped in and been like, you need to put the phone down. We need to get you some professional help. Right? Like, that should have been what happened. But to this day, on my algorithm, I guess because I've been talking about this myself too, I see people constantly commentating on like how this woman is crashing out. They're comparing her to, Emmett Till, and I see that. Like, they're comparing her to the woman who accused Emmett Till of whistling at her, and then Emmett Till ended up deceased. I kind of see that with this woman in that she is putting this man of color in harm's way by creating a narrative that wasn't really there because he was just doing his job. And then using the court of public opinion in order to prosecute him. And that is especially dangerous, especially as someone who is, you know, a white woman, and especially when we are in an era of heteropessimism where, you know, the internet is ready and fiending to shit on the opposite sex given any moment without any introspection whatsoever. I think it is especially harmful. I did want to go over the videos, but I think at this point I don't think it would be fair to do so because of everything that's going on, because everyone is just looking at this situation like as like a dumpster fire, like burning, and not really being like, hey girl, you need to put the phone down. She also has like, okay, so now, yeah, she's also turned off her comments, so that's creepy, like, or made it so that her comments are limited. So she obviously knows that public opinion is not on her side. And I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable being invested in something like this, knowing that this woman might be going through a psychotic break and that nobody's interfering and we're all just watching her make a fool out of herself, I guess. So with that in mind, with that being said, I think the lesson that we can learn here as individuals and consumers of social media, sometimes it's okay to not be so invested in certain stories and situations when they start to make an unhealthy turn, or when you are starting to see signs that this person might need some professional mental help, you know? And when it comes to wanting to expose or dox people, right? I think we also have to be conscious of these people being everyday individuals, like just regular individuals like you and I. Another example I'd like to use is how B. Simone was harassed at Target by like a bunch of random dude bro streamers. Y'all dude bro streamers need to like, y'all need to chill. Like, they harassed her at a Target. I think a Target I've been to, honestly. Put a camera up in her face and kept heckling her and saying that she fell off. And granted, I don't like B. Simone. I think she's, you know, a troll, and I think she does way too much. And I think the constant grifts that she does in order to maintain relevancy, what was it called? The manifestation grift with selling all those journals, and then now moving into Christianity. I just feel like she is kind of an ingenuine person, but I don't think the response is to push a camera in front of her face and start heckling her and saying how she fell off and following her to her car. Yes, these men followed her to her car, talking about how she ain't shit and how she used to date the baby and all of, you know what I mean? And then while they're doing this stuff, right? Because this is terrifying for me, right? Because I do not want any random dude, any shiesty dude coming up to me with a camera in my face, badgering me for questions, right? They were in the Target with their camera, just badgering random women and asking them if they found other women hot or attractive, just badgering people until they finally found B. Simone, okay? And like, that's what I'm talking about. B. Simone is a big figure, so like, you know, it's still not fair that this stuff has happened to her, and she doesn't deserve this stuff happening to her, but at least she has like the court of public opinion who can see the intersectionality of her being a woman being literally stalked by a bunch of random men with a camera in front of her to her car, and that being weird. But when you have those same guys that are putting their cameras in front of random individuals who are just shopping at at Target, just trying to get their groceries, asking random women, do you think this person's hot? Do you think that person's hot? Do you think this person's cute? Do you think that person's cute? That is creepy. That is creepy behavior. And unfortunately, with the evolution of social media, we have fostered an environment where we just think that's okay, and we think that can happen. And I think that also ties into what's happening here, is that we're now just harassing regular everyday people at this point. We're harassing regular everyday people that are just doing their jobs, that are just doing the best that they could. I one time saw someone on TikTok film like a kid at the beach, I guess not listening to their parents. And luckily, the TikTok did not go viral. But like, my question is, why are you putting a phone in front of that child? That minor child, like, you're putting a phone in front of this minor child for what? For whom? To create a moment? To create controversy? To go viral? Like, it's weird. Like, you don't have to film everything. You don't. You don't have to film everything, and you don't have to share everything online. You can keep some things to yourself. And I think social media has made it, especially with platforms like TikTok, where we see that content creation can be something that anyone can almost do and start and get into and potentially make a career out of. We think that if we overshare, some of us think that if we overshare way too much, or that if we put our cameras in front of random individuals way more than we need to, that somehow we're gonna get our big break as like content creators. You know what I mean? And that's not always the case. Okay? When it comes to like the streamer bro shit, not everybody can be Kai Cenat. Alright? Not everyone can be DDG, not everyone can be Drewski. Okay? Not everyone can be them. Alright? They are exceptions to the rule. Okay? And do you really want to get to a position where in your life, where your integrity is compromised because you are exploiting random individuals for in the name of content? You know what I mean? Like, do you really want to be that guy? Like, that's not good. And then in the same breath, do you really want to be known as the person who was going online and possibly going through a psychotic break and risking the career of a medical professional trying to help you in order to get clicks and views and the names of being a content creator? Do you want to be that person? Like, do you really? Is that gonna pan out well for you? Another thing that I always question is that, girl, we had are y'all employed? Like, respectfully, like, I know some people want to do content creation full time, so maybe they're not employed, and that's fine. But like, for those of us that are, right? Do you think it is a good idea to overshare how you think that your psychiatrist fell in love with you on the internet, and then not think that that won't come out sometime in the future if people want to do a background check on you? You know what I mean? Like, digital footprint is real. Like, I there are things I've done that impact my digital footprint that I think about all the time. You know what I mean? And you kind of have to be aware of like some of the things you're sharing or doing online in regards to that, you know? And the more aware you are, the more you can conduct yourself accordingly if you are in a professional space or if you are trying to seek work in that regard. Now, if you are trying to be a content creator full time, I guess that's a little different. But also, it may not behoove of you to put a camera in front of random people or in off-duty content creators in order to create a moment as well. Like, I don't know. Maybe it might behoove of you to just sit your camera up in front of your room and just talk about like random shit in your life or everyday stuff in your life. Like, maybe that might be better for you. And again, B. Simone isn't a nice person. I don't think she's nice. I do think that she's a grifter. I don't like the Jesus rebrand that she's doing and like clip farming little moments in her life in order to go viral on the internet, right? Like the last clip farm she did about how her friend didn't pay her, or like her friend didn't come and help her out, or she didn't help her friend out financially and her friend was very hurt by that, or how like some of her friends had cut her off and whatnot. Like, B. Simone, her character doesn't seem very nice, right? But I think, man or woman, but she's a woman, so I'll just address that now. I think it's especially weird that a bunch of random dudes are like filming her and following her to her car and heckling about how she is irrelevant AF, and fell off. Like, that's weird. That's weird behavior, and like, you will forever, because you posted it willingly on your platform, you will forever be known as the dude who heckled and harassed B. Simone at a Target on a random Saturday afternoon for some content, if you ever do want to enter the professional space. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's just, I think we're at the unhappy timeline of social media now, where things are getting a little too real, things are getting a little too intense. I also think about that time when that content creator Han said that Beyonce was a propagandist, and a bunch of members of the Beehive like tore through her, and that one creator was like, if the teat you suckled on was that of your oppressor, then you have no opinion about Black Americana, or something like that. Like shit like that. And it's like, girl, like it really is just an opinion. It's just an opinion, and it really doesn't warrant that aggressive of energy, because, you know, she called Beyonce a propagandist because she's not wrong. And like, you can, like, multiple things can be true at once. You can call Beyonce a propagandist, and you can also go and see the Cowboy Carter tour and buy yourself a cute fan and listen to the music and have a good time. Like, there has to be some sort of middle ground that we should be meeting, and there has to be some sort of couth when dealing with the internet, like an integrity and understanding. Hopefully this woman gets some sort of help, I hope, or somebody steps in and tells her to like put her phone down, right? Because now it's getting weird, it's getting creepy. I also feel bad for this doctor. If I was a professional, I would be terrified. Like, if I was helping her and, you know, my patient was catching feelings and wanted to share it on social media, I would be horrified, because that is breeding grounds for people to dox me and whatnot. But like, I don't know. It's just getting weird now. It's getting weird. It's getting unfun. And knowing what we know about how a lot of these tech execs move and what their intentions are, and now finally realizing that a lot of them are in the business of keeping us on these social media platforms and not filtering out the content that we should be seeing. I don't know. I'm just not about it. I don't know. I think about what I covered yet last week with the YouTube ID checking in the name of keeping children safe. And I think about how other platforms are following suit. Instagram apparently just doxed a bunch of people on their app by letting like making it so individuals knew exactly where other users on Instagram lived. I don't have the app, so I don't think my location is on there. And every time I enter into Instagram, I say do not use my location, right? But I think it is very scary that Instagram is doing this in the name of surveilling and to ensure that children are safe, but then also making moves that endanger almost everybody, including children, and making them even unsafe, like more unsafe. And they will do all of this, but then they won't filter the highly inappropriate content that is on their platform. They will ask for our IDs on YouTube, but they won't regulate the Elsa Gate weird anime kink, 3D animated kink fetish videos of cartoon characters for kids on these platforms. They will finger wag at individuals on Twitter that are using the resources of Twitter and posting whatever they want on there, instead of filtering out those individuals or making it harder for people to access certain type of content. I don't know. It just, I feel like anytime I hear something like arguments in the name of keeping the children safe and protecting them, or in the name of keeping people safe and protecting them, it's really another step in trying to control everybody and controlling the narrative of social media. And I think if the internet gets regulated in the way that they're intending for it to, we could reach a time on the internet where it gets a lot more difficult to figure out the truth about everything that's going on. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's that on that. That's all I wanted to cover with the psychiatrist. I fell in love with my psychiatrist woman. Like I said, hopefully she gets help, all the help that she needs. But I think at this point, if you're a spectator watching all of this go down, you should probably stop watching her. I think that I think we need to give her space to seek out medical help. We also should probably leave the psychiatrist alone, and then maybe we should just stop talking about it too. You know, like this is probably gonna be the last video I discuss about this, hopefully, but I don't think we should be talking about this anymore. I think that she's going through it, and she's showing us that she's going through it, and we should just kind of like leave her alone so that she could get the help that she needs instead of just watching the shit show commence. So that's all I have on that. I'm gonna play some Marvel Rivals. So yeah, let's start some Marvel Rivals up. Also, random, but I gotta talk about it. It's music related. So apparently Ira is getting signed. Ira Star trying to Rock Nation. Impressive TV was talking about how she got signed to Rock Nation because Rock Nation is trying to find another Rihanna, and Rihanna isn't trying to make music. And honestly, if I was a billionaire off of like makeup and cosmetic products, I wouldn't blame her for not wanting to make any more music, especially with all the shit that went down with Tidal. So like, remember when Nicki Minaj was going off about like how Tidal owes her money and stuff? I mean, she's not entitled. Okay, so here's the thing. I still don't rock with Nicki. She's an awful person, right? She's just a horrendous person that makes horrendous PR moves and then expects like everyone to be on her side and defend her, and then uses these weird politics in order to defend her points, right? I don't like Nicki Minaj, but she is right in saying that Tidal, that streaming service, owes a bunch of people money. But what Nicki didn't do is she didn't like take it to the courtroom and actually sue Tidal for the money. Whether it's because she doesn't have money for it or not, I don't know. Instead, she's just on Twitter on snow-covered rants talking about how Jay-Z owes her money and owes a bunch of people money too. Well, apparently, Rihanna doesn't want to make music with them because with Rock Nation because they also owe her money as well. Because her album was released on the Tidal platform, and I don't think she got proper residuals from it. So she's like really pissed off about that. So she's probably not gonna make any more music. But like Rihanna left a very hollow space in like the edgy pop girl department. Like she did, and she was working hard. Like, let me tell you something. She isn't the strongest singer, right? But like when it came to like thinking about what gives pop star, I mean, Rihanna was given pop star. Like she was given pop star from the looks, from the fashion to the era. Like Rihanna was that girl. She was that girl, okay? And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for her, she's not performing or making music in the way at all, really. Like she'll do like a song here and there, but she's really not making music like that. I mean, no, that's her prerogative, that's her business. But Rock Nation, I hear, is trying to find another Rihanna, and they want to make the Rihanna because they want to like have ownership over that. They don't want another record label to make her, I guess, is a way to put it, right? However, I hear that Rock Nation isn't like a good management company, so it'll be interesting to see how that works with Ira Star. And I also think if you want like an edgy, like African, Afro-Caribbean, you know, overseas type of sound, Thames is already there. Thames is there, and they don't give Thames. I feel like they don't push Thames in the way that they need to, for reasons. Yay! And I don't know if I don't know if I like that really. I feel like they don't believe in Thames because she doesn't have the look of a traditional pop star, but she's still very beautiful and she's still very talented, and I think she is a strong Gen Z talent because a lot of Gen Z and like millennials, I guess, like they're not looking for like they're looking for authenticity, I guess is a way to put it. They're looking for authenticity. They're not looking for like a super done up pop star all the time, you know, because then you get people like, you know, Tate McRae and Sabrina Carpenter, or no, Sabrina Carpenter's fine, but like Tate McRae and Benson Boone, where it clearly looks like their image is fabricated and that there is a heavy push for them, but like certain audiences aren't resonating with them in the way they need to. So, but yeah, that's interesting. And then Tyla only sold 3.7 copies, 7K copies of her EP because of the whole color conversation and her fans just being like aggressive about the color conversation. And I don't know. I guess I might have to recant on my feelings about Tyla because when you're entering into an American audience, you kind of have to be careful about those things. Like, I understand what being colored means, right? Like, it doesn't offend me that she identifies with being colored, but you are entering in a black market, and you're letting your fans kind of harass the black American fans, and it's I don't know. It's just like, that's something that you should probably be more aware of, I guess. I feel like these are bots. I feel like I'm playing against bots. But honestly, I don't think you can make another Rihanna. Like, can we talk about it? Like, you can't make... These are bots, bro. You can't make another Rihanna. Like, you should just focus on making, like, the next artist. I think these are bots. Maybe Marvel Rivals is trying to warm me up. I hear Blade is very difficult to play now. Like, he's very difficult. I really wanted to play him, but it's fine. I didn't have to. I should give him a try, but I'm not a good DPS. I thought he would be a heftier tank and a lot less squishy. competitive more, but the only problem is I played like a few competitive games. We lost, but like people just dropped our game. And I was just like, I don't want to deal with that mess. Like, so we were playing like 3v6. We couldn't even get out of the... We couldn't even get out of the freaking, the gate. The healing gate. This is a bot. Yeah, I'm playing against robots. What? That's not right. If I get VIP, I'm gonna freak out. Yay! But I kind of want to know how. But it's okay, I guess. Healing, they did a lot of healing. I didn't do a lot of damage. They did a lot of damage, so...
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one. I'm not the type who fades quietly into the background. I'm not the type who fades quietly into the background.
I need to get her Fantastic foreskin. It's so cute. I'm not looking forward to playing against Blade. Toxic OG Kush. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun game.
After all these years, 30 seconds before you attack. Get ready. starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Even the humans acknowledge how important this battle is. You did that with an acorn? Impressive. Microfighters melted. Feeling fantastic. Oh, I catch it. Thanks for the boost. Make sure your fireworks are up.
Oh, squirrel girl. I am very scared of. I'm scared of Blade. I'm just scared of him.
Clearly, you needed some help.
Oh god. Okay.
Much better. I appreciate you.
Okay. Okay.
Make sure your firewalls are up for this mission, Spiders.
No.
A little help, please.
Ah, Blade. No.
I don't give up so easily.
Oh my god, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Oh, jeez. Is that hers? That's probably hers. Oh, no, no, no. I don't know what's going on there. I don't want none of that.
Anyone willing to help?
I am not trying to. No, no. Where can I heal?
Vulnerable than ever. Us against the world!
Oh my god! Spiders, well done!
Us against the world!
gotta keep going? Damn. I thought we were done. Oh. Okay, girl. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. None of that. I don't want none of that. I don't want. Oh God, am I the only one here? No, I am. No, I can't be the only one. Ah! I don't know why I clicked over there. No.
Only 60 seconds left. That's much better. Arousal is in big trouble if we don't start moving. Thought you wouldn't see me again? Down to 30 seconds.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh shit. I don't want none of that. Ugh, let's go. God. Ish. Ah. Someone said that sounds like 1,000 cocks, and I just can't get that out. I can't. Can't get that out of my mind. Like it's gonna be a problem. No. Oh, we lost. Okay, so I think that's it for me today. Like I said, this is gonna be a really short stream because I am a little tired. I did a lot of talking yesterday. I don't know. Maybe I'll play one more game. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll play one more game. After this game, I'm heading out though. Igniting the time stream, okay.
Pick your hero. Or villain. I'm not judging. I'm not the type who fades quietly into the background.
Ooh. Starting another week.
Feels good to step outside my bubble.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Groot! Oh, buddy! No tree I'd rather see.
I don't really like her ultimate.
I'm not the type who fades quietly.
I want someone with a cool ultimate. Maybe I'll do Cloak and Dagger
Light can
again.
heal and light can harm. Same with me.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Okay. Ooh, Jeff. Oh, is that what those things are? Little health bubbles? Thank you. Oh, God. I don't want none of that. I don't think these are real people. I think these are bots. No, maybe that's not a bot. I'm too close. I gotta move farther back.
Capture the mission area. Get ready.
Ah! No.
That's 3. My time to shine.
Together to victory!
Your team's capture progress has passed the halfway point. My time to shine.
almost gonna win. Yay. Look at this little dragon. So cute.
So cold.
I was like absolutely no help. Oh, well, maybe I helped a little bit. I assisted 10 times, so
Light doesn't dispel darkness.
that's
It
good.
helps me see the darkness and face it.
Oh, this is so pretty. How nice.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Remember, no one looks wrong you twice.
That means
Is this a new map?
What an exasperating fool you are when you try to make a joke.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture
No,
the
it's
mission
not.
area. Got it?
when doom has been brought to heel, I will choose Asgard's future.
The mission area is yours to capture now.
Maximum pulse!
My time to shine. So cold.
Your battle's over. Bless the evil light.
Weapon up.
Born again! Suit looks good on you, Tony.
The mission area is yours.
Where is Blair?
My time to shine. You owe me one. My time to shine.
Shit, I am too close.
My
Hey,
time
buddy.
to shine. I'm back to shed some light.
Ooh, look at the gold. The gold plants look pretty. Ah! I need that. I really don't.
My time to shine.
Bring on the chaos!
they got it, so they don't really need me. I got my Q, so the more people who come in, the more I can use my Q. There we go. Well, it looks like I didn't need to use my Q anyway. Oh, I didn't do too bad. Good job, everybody. Alright, so I think that is it for today. I am done. So I did everything I needed to. I talked about what I wanted to talk about. Again, I wanted this stream to be nice and short, but I will be seeing you guys next week, and we will be talking about some other things as well. Hopefully there's going to be some entertaining stuff. Hopefully it won't be another person crashing out over a one-sided love interest, but we'll have to see. With that in mind, thank you guys so much for attending my stream today. This recording will be left up, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Take care, y'all. Love you. Bye.